Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am your host, Tracey Smtih, and I welcome you to Wellness Wednesday. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Tracey Smtih. I live in San Diego, California. I am a 4-star at 3. I'm a wife, a mother of 4, and a grandmother of 5. Very proud of that. I've always been interested in health. It's very important to me. I have a predisposition, like a, a genetic mutation. And so that is something that I've always been interested on, health and wellness and being able to stay healthy. And so when 3 came along, these products have been so incredible for me. I have to tell you, my grandmother passed away at 52. My dad's 62 and my aunt at 72. My aunt was a very healthy person. She really concentrated on her health with supplementation and awareness. And I think that's super important. And today is my 58th birthday. So that's great that we're extending that age in the family. And so I'm very excited about that. I am very proactive in my health, as far as been surgically, I make sure that everything's right. I do all of my checkups. I have been through a radical hysterectomy, and so I've had that hormonal imbalance. I know some people maybe have experienced that. But with these 3 supplements, I've really felt very good. And through all of the research and the third-party trials and all of those things, I do want to tell you is that I do take all 6 of the 3 supplements, and I absolutely love them. And every study that comes through just makes me feel more secure and happy with what I'm taking at 3. So I like to tell you that my line for my life is ignorance isn't bliss. I think ignorance is dangerous. And so what I think is that everyone should have that desire to learn more about nutrition, about supplements, and what they can do for their own health. I know that we are in the PDR, the Physician's Digital Reference, which is very interesting. 3 is investing so much to make sure that what we offer is absolutely absorbed in the cellular level. And we just had some epigenetic studies come through that have been absolutely amazing. And so tonight I wanted to introduce Dr. Linda McCormick. She has a PhD. She's very interested in epigenetics. And I asked her this evening if she could kind of dummy it down a little bit for people like that aren't in the medical field, people like me, so that we really understand what all of these things mean: a PDR, cellular absorption, epigenetics. What is all of that? And I know she's been so interested, and she is so phenomenally researched and qualified to be able to talk about these things. So let me introduce you to my friend, Linda McCormick.
Well, thank you, Tracey. And first of all, happy birthday. It's not your birthday, it's your birth week, it's your birth month. That's what I always say. So anyway, but I'm very happy to be here. I do just a little background, small background. I have been working in the pharmaceutical industry for over 30 years. I know it's hard to believe, right? But I have. And I've been working on drug development, working on making sure the drugs absorb as best as possible, and we have to get it in the right format, the right composition in order for it to be delivered as we say it should to the cell, according to the FDA, right? And so, so that's been my whole world. And so coming here, it's super important to me, like Tracey said, that absorption is huge. I mean, we can have the most wonderful ingredients, just great well-sourced ingredients, curated, selected for their various properties, but if they don't get in the cell, is no good, right? So that's what really excited me about 3's products. We can be sure that what we're taking is actually getting into our cells, right? So, and Tracey asked me to talk about epigenetics. And it's kind of funny because I have to tell a little story. When I left the convention, I was in the United Club with, it's a small United Club in Anaheim, and there's only like three of us in there. And the one guy asked what I was doing. I told him, why I was there and how we just had this cool epigenetics study. And I was kind of trying to tell him, without being too technical, because I didn't know his background or whatever. Well, we end up sitting next to each other on the airplane, and he's the director of genome sequencing of the entire lab at Baylor, the entire department. And I mean, it was like so so he could have run circles. He was just probably laughing inside. So anyway, but for all of you, I will try to explain a little bit about what epigenetics is. I mean, it's not a new term. It's been around for a long time, but it's really kind of become something that we call an actual study, probably in the 80s, I would say. And, the world of genetics is just changing all the time. We learn so much about mutations, about, what affects our genome and what affects the expression of different genes, right? So, and so in order to understand epigenetics, first you have to understand what's genetics, right? So that's the first thing. And I don't know if you all had this in biology, maybe not, but genetics is your DNA. I mean, it's what you're born with, right? So, and that doesn't change unless, you have a mutation that somehow happens at birth or during development, right? So pretty much that DNA helix, you've probably heard it called a helix, and it looks kind of like a ladder, a twisted ladder. That's the double-stranded DNA. That's what you have, that you're born with, that you're going to pass on to your children, you and your spouse. But what's epigenetics then? What does that mean? Well, they're really these biochemical markers that sit on top of the DNA. And these we can change. These do change. These markers, they really control which genes are switched on and which genes are turned off. So, you might have been born with the Alzheimer's gene, for example, and you might die with that gene without it ever having been turned on. And so, however, through epigenetics, sometimes the environment or, not your diet, lifestyle, other kind of factors that are going on physiologically in the body, those can cause certain genes to be turned on and turned off. And some genes you want to be turned on, and some genes you want to be turned off. Inhibitory genes, right? So, and some genes are inhibiting some really bad things that could be going on in your body. So you want those to stay active and inhibiting. So it's kind of like this weird backwards thinking sometimes. But so that's what, it's just, these genes, at different times, they can be, turned on and off. And they are heavily influenced by our lifestyle and what we do. Smoking, our diets, everything, those kinds of things really do affect it. So, and so what is epigenetics is really the study of how your behavior and the environment really can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. And these, again, unlike the genes, the code that you've been given, these can be changed and modified. So I hope that helps.
It sure does. Oh my gosh, it's so interesting, really. And to think of the advancement, right, that we have today from where we were 10 years ago is just absolutely amazing. So,
and what's neat was when you see that DNA helix, you've all seen it like in your biology books, right? But it's really these chemicals that kind of stick off of it, and those are the ones that are getting changed. And so that's what's really studied. I mean, you can tell even different women that have, for example, during pregnancy, were exposed to a famine. So they had other kids that they had, right? But there was a Dutch study where women who had babies and who were pregnant during this famine, they looked at the genes of these folks later on, 60 years later, and they all had the same epigenetic changes, not their siblings who weren't born during the famine, right? So that really tells us that epigenetics is it's infected a lot by our environment and our diet. So
Very, very interesting. So Linda, you take all the 6 products or just a few?
I take all 6. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Is there a good time to take certain ones or?
What? And you've heard this said before. It's when you remember to take them.
That's
That's
right.
what's beautiful about this. Empty stomach. I mean, aren't you so used to other supplements where it's like, oh, take it in the morning before, whatever, or after you've had eaten, no, just whenever you remember to take them. So
That's
that's what's nice too.
excellent, excellent. Well, we do have a few testimonies, 3 today, and we're really excited. So I'm going to have Linda stay on, and I'm going to ask Tammy Fiedelman. Can you? Yes, Tammy is a health coach, I believe. So let's hear your testimony, Tammy.
So thank you so much for asking me to be on tonight. Thank you for also being here for your 58th birthday. Great to see you here. But the reason I joined 3 is definitely taking a look as a health coach. I can help people, with weight loss, but not everybody needs to necessarily lose weight, but everybody needs that internal nutrition from, supplements. And so that's what, really took and got my eye on, what 3 has to offer. And for me personally, I have more sustainable energy during the day than I did before, which is helpful. I can tell if I have not taken my Vitality, because by 2 o'clock, if I haven't taken mine in the morning, I'm tired. So for me, it's really helped me with my sustainable energy, and the collagen has helped me, with my hair growth. So I mean, there's just so many different benefits that each one of us can benefit from. And what it does for me is not necessarily going to do the same for other people. It may do things better for them. And that's the one thing that I love about the 3 products and hearing other people's testimonies is the benefits that it brings to the table. But it really just helps just level things out for me with my diet and my nutrition that I'm on, and that I'm able to help other people with. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite product that you recommend?
Oh, a favorite product. I'm gonna have to say Revive is my favorite product. It's just helped me with with my joint aches, after, working out and, playing with my granddaughter a lot, and stuff, that it just really helps with, that pain and aches that I have in my joints. So that one helps me.
That's awesome. Hey, Linda, with Revive, I've heard some people say it's a natural ibuprofen, and some people aren't able to take ibuprofen. Can you?
Well, I mean, there are some folks that can't take ibuprofen, right, for many reasons. It's very hard on the GI tract, not so good for the kidneys. It's a drug, and the anti-inflammation that we see with ibuprofen is something that is not really getting at your own body's ability to fight that, right? So I think what we have different here is it's natural. It's all wonderfully natural. And it just speaks to the fatigue issue, right? So you're going to be getting the benefit and supporting that anti-fatigue property with the sea buckthorn oil. You've got, I mean, just the ingredients, right? They were just chosen specifically, curated is what we like to say, to give those kinds of, recovery ability. I know that we hear all the time that this one is really for those that work out, right? Because this is that soreness, that muscle soreness, right? So I think it's a great choice for folks that can't tolerate some of the anti-inflammatory things like ibuprofen. So, as you could probably say, Tammy, right?
Yes.
So,
That's excellent. Thank you, Tammy. It's been great to talk with you.
Thank
We're
you.
going to introduce Albert now. Albert, if you can turn your camera on. This is Albert. He's an avid runner. And before 3, I think you slowed down your running a little bit. So tell us your testimony.
So before 3, 4 years ago, I had heart surgery. I went through all that process, open heart, and it's harder when you go through a process like that to get back to running and stuff like that, because you have to really watch everything you do for a while. And I went back to the gym to use the machines there, but then we had COVID. So I couldn't go to the gym for the longest time. And then I finally went back to the gym and we got 3 and started taking the products. The biggest thing for me is when you run and you hadn't run forever, the pain you feel the next day. You do 4 or 5 miles, you are in pain. So me drinking the products, Revive, totally helped big time. The pain diminished from, say, what normally was 2-3 days from working out to maybe a day and a half to 2 days. And it didn't take it away, but you didn't feel it as much. I don't know if people that work out might understand that, and people that don't might understand that eventually too. So Revive is amazing. It's one of my favorite products because of that, of course. I do take all the products. I normally take my Vitality in the morning, and I have the mixture of the rest of them in a little bottle like this.
Oh, nice.
Then before I go to the gym, actually, I drink those, all of them, and Eternal as well, because it's funny that I think it was Convention or the other person that talked about it, about her daughter running faster. It's interesting because I didn't realize it, but I went and ran a couple miles, and I noticed that my time was faster when I actually added this and added those, maybe 30 seconds faster, which is a big difference. So I 100% believe in the products. They're amazing. And as a guy, hair loss is a big thing. Okay. So the collagen is amazing. That's another thing that I've noticed is my hair's not falling as much. So, I mean, I love all the products. And like I said, it mainly Revive and Purify is great too. I mean, I take them all, but those are my choices of Revive and Eternal and Immune. I love those ones right there. So.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I got to say, thank you.
it just makes perfect sense, right? So I can, when you've got a product like Eternal, for example, that's packed with polyphenols and, the phytonutrients that have been selected, the resveratrol, it's just so good for your heart health and for, just that. And it's just anything that's good for your heart's going to make you feel better and run. Right? So, so I think that's super important. And we get so many good testimonials on the Revive, right? Because it's such a right away kind of feeling, right? So, and really supports the body's natural ability to fight inflammation. And I think that's the key here is we're really, even with immune, supporting the body's own innate and adaptive immune response. And that's, and it's just, I think it speaks to the way these products were formulated again, and all of those ingredients carefully selected to really perform and do this great job, but then get in the cell and, you can feel it, so you're that person that's, a product of all of these products. So.
Excellent. Well, Albert, I know you got to run. Sorry. We'll go ahead and we're going to introduce Christina. She's our last testimonial. She's out here in Sarasota, Florida, the other coast. And she is into weightlifting. I think her whole family is. And she's a beautiful girl. She was at convention and I just love her. So tell us a little bit, Christina.
Hi, thank you, Tracey, for having me on tonight. I'm very honored, and happy birthday to you again. We share the same birthday month. I just turned 55 earlier this month, so we're both in September babies. So a little bit of background on myself. I'm 55 years old. I'm a wife, a mom of 3. My oldest daughter is 28. My son is 25. And my youngest daughter is 13. She just became a teenager. And yes, I started all over again with my current husband. So, yeah, so we have a little teenager at home still. And I did get into weightlifting. I've always been a fanatic about health and working out. I started bodybuilding probably about the age of 18. And I did my first bodybuilding competition when I was, it was about 26 years ago. I did my first one. And so I put a lot of stress and toll on my body because you're lifting heavy weights and putting a lot of stress on your muscles and joints. But it's a passion of mine. I love it, and it makes me feel good. I've always been into supplementation and proactive wellness. I really have never been a fan of pharmaceuticals. Yes, I will take them if I have to, but I try to avoid them as much as possible. One thing that happened to me back in 2011, I had a serious knee injury where I tore my ACL and meniscus, and it never really properly healed correctly. I had arthritis in my knees as well, but I never got my full range of motion back. And so I went through physical therapy, and I actually did 2 rounds of physical therapy and went through excruciating pain with that. I developed a lot of scar tissue on that knee. And so I was always living in chronic pain and inflammation with that knee. And then unfortunately, 4 years later, I did it to my other knee. So I tore my ACL and meniscus on my right knee. That was in 2015. And it was right before we were moving to Florida. I'm born and raised in California. And so I never really even got to go through physical therapy with that knee. So never got to really properly heal with that knee as well. So in both knees, I never had full range of motion. But I just kind of toughed it out. I'd go to the gym and just kind of push through it. There were certain weights that I couldn't do because it really put a lot of pressure and pain on my knees. So I try to avoid that. But and prior to 3, I was taking, supplements. I was taking a good joint formula as well, which I thought was a good joint formula. But obviously, it really didn't do the trick for me because, I still was always in pain and swelling, and I just kind of learned to deal with it and live with it. So with 3, I was introduced to it in February this year. I got my first product package, the founder package. I got that in April, started taking all the products. And I'd have to say that the Revive or Revive, however everybody wants to say it, is probably one of my favorites because it did help my knees tremendously. Before getting on the products, I could hardly even sleep at night because I was constantly in pain and swelling around my knees, and I'd be laying in bed and I couldn't even hardly, go to sleep because the pain was unbearable. I couldn't even take a step on a stair, trying to go up a step of stairs. It was really hard and painful for me. So that was just really difficult, but I just kind of dealt with it. And I didn't really notice until maybe about a week or 2 after taking the products that all of a sudden I went to go up a flight of stairs and I could do it. No problem. I wasn't running up the stairs, but I definitely could do it. And I wasn't in that excruciating pain, and I wasn't wincing every time I took a step. So that helped. And then I noticed that I could sleep. I could actually fall asleep. I wasn't in pain anymore trying to get to bed because the swelling was all gone around my knee. I could actually feel my knee bones. I could never feel those before. They were always just so full of fluid. So the Revive is a really game changer for me. So I actually knew that it was working. And the other product I really want to say, so the Revive, this is the Revive. And I think the collagen actually really helped a lot too. So my first cycling on the collagen, I really thought I was taking it just for mainly skin and hair and nail supplement, but I later found out that it was good for your joints and ligaments and tendons as well. And so after my first cycle, I really noticed a big difference in how my knees felt and my joints. And so I kind of say that I'm the old, the Tin Man that's not rusted anymore, that I kind of got oiled and I'm lubricated again. So I can really function a lot better with these products. And so I owe it all to 3, and I just love them. I love all of the products, but those 2 particularly. So thank you.
Absolutely. Linda, have any comments on that?
Sure do. That's fantastic. And I just, first of all, feel for what you went through. Those are some really really debilitating injuries. And it's too bad that you had to go through that and kind of stick it out until you found these products, right? But I'm glad you did. And something you said too about proactive wellness, and that's what we're all about. So, and I'm really happy to be here doing proactive instead of, trying to treat diseases all the time after the fact, because it sure is better to do it that way, right? All around. But wow, it's not a surprise. I mean, we have another testimonial on the Revive product because, yeah, like I said, it's just such a right away kind of product. But it's also, just as you said, Christina, that sometimes, all of a sudden you'll just go, wait a second, I just went up those stairs, and we've heard that too, where it's not magic or anything like that next day or anything, but you do notice all of a sudden that you didn't notice that you were able to do something like that, like go up the stairs or sleep better, because you weren't in so much pain. So, so I think again, that's your own body's ability to heal itself, and that's what we're trying to promote with these products. And so we're giving the body all of the tools that it needs in order to do that in a natural way, and that's what's wonderful. And yeah, the collagen as well. It's not just for hair and skin, right? So we hear that too, that for the joints, it even has vitamin C in it. So it's good for the immune, health as well. So it's a great product, great all around product as well, for men and women, right? So
Fantastic. So Tammy and Albert, will you both turn on your cameras? You see your cute faces again. Maybe Albert will. I do want to close the call by telling you that we have an event special still until October 1st that have the products at a very, very good value. And so if you're interested in trying some of these products, I strongly urge you to get to the person who invited you tonight so that you could go through some of these products and see what the value is and how you can not only be part of 3, but have 3 in you. And so again, we love our products. They're absolutely amazing. They're fantastic, backed by science, and it really sets us apart as a company. So we wish you a very good evening or good afternoon or good morning, as we're in 14 countries and territories. And there's Albert. And we'd like to say bye. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.